The U.S. military adopted the term trouser, also spelled T-R-O-W-S-E-R during the period, in 1851. The 1861 regulations call for trousers of dark blue cloth for all branches, with the exception of light artillery, whose trousers were to be sky blue. Dark blue trousers were issued from 1858 until 1861 and were introduced by General Order No. 3 of March 24, 1858. The regulations were changed to make sky blue trousers standard issue for all troops by General Order No. 108 of December 16, 1861. Quote, "The Secretary of War directs that the following change be made in the uniform trousers of regimental officers and enlisted men. The cloth to be made of sky blue mixture, the welt for officers and stripes for non-commissioned officers of infantry to be of dark blue." Trousers were made of sky blue kersey. Privates' trousers were plain, without a stripe or a welt. The Army Clothing Establishment estimated that changing from dark blue to sky blue would save as much as $750,000 annually. But dark blue trousers were still in use well after this order. There is conclusive evidence that NCOs and enlisted men of the Ordnance Department wore dark blue trousers throughout the war. Trousers are found in varying shades of sky blue. In March 1862, a quartermaster officer at the St. Louis Depot wrote to Meigs regarding a shipment of trousers and trouser materials received from the Schuylkill Arsenal. "The shades in the same box," he wrote, "may vary very much, also texture." Trousers for mounted troops were reinforced. This reinforcement is known as saddling. Saddling was applied to the outside of mounted trousers to make them more durable. It looked odd on the outside, but it was there for a purpose. Had it been applied inside, it would have been a source of considerable scratching and irritation. Quartermaster documents specify a rise of 10.5 inches for both mounted and dismounted trousers. The rise is measured by subtracting the inseam from the outseam. Sergeants had a stripe in the color of the arm of service 1.5 inches wide. Corporals had a colored stripe 1/2 inch wide. Stripes were lace of either worsted herringbone twill or worsted vertical ribbing and covered the trouser's outer seam. Trousers were not creased because creasing was unknown in that era. Creasing did not start until the 1890s. The trousers had no cuff on the bottom and almost universally had suspender buttons, although suspenders were not items of issue until 1883. All the specimens we examined were issued with 4 suspender buttons. We have heard of examples with 6 buttons. They probably represent extra buttons added to accommodate different types of suspenders. Soldiers provided their own suspenders. The trousers were cut so that they may not fit well without suspenders, depending on a soldier's build, but most soldiers wore them with suspenders. Most original Civil War suspenders were of the X-type arrangement. Civil War trousers had no belt loops. Belt loops are not found on U.S. military trousers until the turn of the century. Donald E. Kloster of the Smithsonian Institution has identified 3 different types of trouser reinforcement. These are called types 1 through 3 in his nomenclature. Type 1 has a triangular-shaped yoke for reinforcement. Schuylkill Arsenal trousers are type 1. Type 2 has a wedge-shaped yoke for reinforcement. Type 2 is found on the Deering contract trousers. Type 3 has an almost rectangular piece on either side of the center back seam. Type 3 is found on the Anspach and Stanton contract trousers. Almost 14 million pairs of trousers were produced during the war. Prices from 1861 through 1865 for dismounted trousers ranged from $2.05 to $5.40 per pair. The range for mounted trousers was from $3.31.5 to $5.89 per pair. As shipped, the trousers came in bales of 100, which included more size 2s and 3s than 1s and 4s. This assortment of sizes was known as a tariff. Civil War trousers came in 4 sizes. Size 1 has a 32-inch waist, a 41.5-inch outseam, and a 31-inch inseam. Size 2 has a 34-inch waist, a 42.5-inch outseam, and a 32-inch inseam. Size 3 has a 36-inch waist, a 43.5-inch outseam, and a 33-inch inseam. And size 4 has a 38-inch waist, a 44.5-inch outseam, and a 34-inch inseam. These are an infantry private's trousers. Note there is no extra piece of cloth stitched on to reinforce the watch pocket. These trousers bear the Steubenville Arsenal stamp and the stamp of U.S. Inspector William Giles. Giles was an inspector at Steubenville from September 1863 until July 1865. This pair of trousers is completely hand-sewn. These are an infantry sergeant's trousers. They have the Type 1 reinforcement. The 1.5-inch stripe on the side designates the rank of sergeant, and the dark blue color is for the branch of service, in this case the infantry. This pair was made at the Schuylkill Arsenal. They have a Maltese cross stamp, which represents a specific inspector. An extra piece of material has been sewn on to reinforce the watch pocket. This extra piece must have required more time to add, given that all the Schuylkill Arsenal trousers were hand-sewn. Note the hand stitching. These are a cavalry corporal's trousers. They also have the Type 1 reinforcement. All mounted trousers have double buttons on the bottom for the instep strap. The stripe is 1/2 inch wide and designates a corporal's rank. Yellow makes this a cavalry uniform. This stripe is made of worsted vertical ribbing. These are a light artillery corporal's trousers. The reinforcement is also Type 1. It has a 1/2 inch wide red stripe designating a corporal of artillery. This pair also has the added reinforcement of the watch pocket. It is entirely hand-stitched. These trousers would have belonged to an infantry private. Here there is no extra reinforcement of the watch pocket. These were made by William Deering, a contractor from Portland, Maine. His contract, dated January 18, 1864, let by Colonel D.H. Vinton, Deputy Quartermaster General, was with the New York Depot and called for delivery of 5,000 pairs of trousers at a price of $4.28 a pair. The bond amount was $25,000. These are also an infantry private's trousers. They have the Type 2 reinforcement. The contractor is again Deering, and this specimen bears both the U.S. Inspector's stamp and the contractor's stamp. These trousers have machine stitching on the hem and seam and hand stitching on the fly. These infantry private's trousers display the Type 3 reinforcement, as found on trousers made by contractors Unsbach and Stanton. This is their stamp, an A and an S. These were made under a contract of October 10, 1864, let by Colonel Herman Biggs of Philadelphia. The contract called for 100,000 pairs of foot trousers and 50,000 pairs of mounted trousers with a $383,000 bond. The prices in this contract are interesting. The first 50,000 foot trousers were $4.57 a pair, and the second 50,000, $4.68 a pair. There was also two-tiered pricing for the mounted trousers, with the first 25,000 costing $5.99 and the next 25,000, $6.09. These are hand-sewn. Note the threads below the A&S stamp. They are brown. When the garment was originally sewn, this thread was dark blue. The dye used in the dark blue thread has oxidized over the years, leaving it a brown color. This change has been verified by extensive tests with an electron microscope. Our last specimen of trousers would have belonged to a cavalry corporal. They have the Type 3 reinforcement typical of Ansbach and Stanton products. The 1/2 inch worsted herringbone stripe marks a corporal's rank, and yellow makes these cavalry trousers. The specifications for these under the A&S contract were the same as with the preceding trousers.